Corneille Nangaa, the leader of the Congo River Alliance, AFC, which includes the M23 Rebels, has confirmed the death of 11 persons and 65 others sustaining injuries when multiple bombs were detonated in the Congo city of Bukavu when mammoth crowds of Congolese residents gathered at a rally organized by the rebel groups after they took over the town earlier in February 2025, with the Congolese President, Felix Tshisekedi, describing the bombings as a terrorist attack committed by a foreign army currently on Congolese soil. Corneille Nangaa, while addressing reporters on Thursday evening after the attack, said that the bomb attack was orchestrated by President Felix Tshisekedi-led Congolese government, adding that both the attacker and the woman were among the 11 dead. According to Nangaa, in the video footage of the news briefing, 6 out of the 65 persons injured during the bomb blasts are in critical conditions in the hospital. The attack caused 11 deaths and verifications are underway. The author of the attack is among the victims. Corneille Nangaa, leader of the Congo River Alliance, AFC, which includes the M23, told reporters during the press briefing, adding, "There are 65 injured, 6 of whom are seriously injured and are currently being treated in the operating room." The attack on Bukavu caused 11 deaths, including a woman and the perpetrator of the attack. He said that, "Following today's unfortunate incident, we are obliged to react." The incident occurred on Thursday when leaders of the M23 rebel group, including Nangaa, were meeting residents when the explosions occurred in the central part of Bukavu. Videos and photos shared on social media showed a very large crowd of people fleeing the mass rally in Bukavu and bloodied bodies on the ground. "We are accusing and condemning vigorously the criminal regime of Kinshasa, which just implemented its plan of exterminating civilian populations," AFC said in a statement. This attack caused several deaths, including a few terrorists from Kinshasa and some injured. 2 of them were immediately apprehended by our services. "This cowardly and barbaric act will not be without consequences," it added. Meanwhile, Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi called the attack a heinous terrorist act that was perpetrated by a foreign army illegally present on Congolese soil, according to AFP International News Agency. It was gathered that the rebel leader, Nangaa, who addressed the mammoth crowd of people in Bukavu, had left the stage before the bombs were detonated. Bukavu is one of 2 key cities in the Kivu region seized in recent weeks by the M23 rebels, who UN experts claimed are backed by Rwandan forces. Kigali has repeatedly denied backing the rebels. A first explosion caused panic, sending spectators fleeing, before a second explosion rang out. Some reports suggest there was a third blast, according to local media. Nangaa had left Independence Square, where the meeting had taken place at the time of the explosions, according to AFP journalists at the scene. It would be recalled that the M23 Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has raised alarms that there are foreign syndicates in Nigeria building camps and recruiting Nigerians for global cryptocurrency fraud and other cybercrimes, just as the chairman of the commission, Ola Olukoyede, says the Anti-Corruption Commission will strengthen its collaborations with other law enforcement agencies to fight financial crimes to scale up the performance of Nigeria economy. Details of the news as presented by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, reads below. Organized foreign fraud syndicates establishing cells in Nigerian cities. Olukoyede, the executive chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukoyede, has alerted Nigerians that organized foreign fraud syndicates are establishing cells in Nigerian cities and recruiting young Nigerians into serious organized cybercrimes, including cryptocurrency fraud. He made the disclosure in Abuja on Wednesday, February 26, 2025, while receiving participants of the Executive Intelligence Management course, EIMC 18 of the National Institute for Security Studies, NISS, led by the Director of Studies, Hyginus Ngele, to the Commission. Olukoyede expressed surprise on how bandits and insurgents are able to sustain their activities over the years, stressing that the flow of small arms and light weapons across our borders and the involvement of non-state actors in the illegal exploitation of minerals in parts of the country all compound the threats in the security landscape. Another dimension that is not given attention is the discovery, recently, that organized foreign fraud syndicates are establishing cells in Nigerian cities and recruiting young Nigerians into serious organized cybercrimes, including cryptocurrency fraud, he said. Speaking further, he stated that by virtue of EFCC's recent discovery, we are beginning to see the likelihood, the propensity that a lot of these people are into illegal importation of arms into the country using cryptocurrency as means of payment. And this is an area that must interest all of us. In the special operations we carried out in Lagos recently, we arrested 194 foreigners in the heart of Victoria Island. 194 of them, Chinese, Filipinos, Eastern Europeans, Tunisians and the like in one building at a time. You can imagine what these guys are doing, 194 of them. Some of them don't even have valid visas and most of the financial activities they carried out they did through cryptocurrency. Another thing that we discovered is that some of the foreigners we arrested were already ex-convicts in their countries. Some of them have been convicted and escaped from their countries and found safe haven in Africa, not only Nigeria. We discovered that they are also developing cells in some other African countries by virtue of the investigation we are carrying out, he said. The EFCC's boss called for spirited efforts at both national and continental levels to combat the menace of internet fraudsters, stressing that the money laundering and contrary to media speculations that the embattled Ukraine has reached an agreement with the United States. US-led President Donald Trump on the rare earth minerals deal required as exchange or economic benefits for the US to continue to assist the war-torn Ukraine with military aid against ongoing President Vladimir Putin-led Russian military destructions and bring peace to the country. The Ukrainian President, Volodymyr Zelensky, in a video press release on Wednesday night debunked the speculations, saying, the US and the Ukrainian teams have been working together in preparation for the negotiations on the terms of the economic deal this coming Friday in the US, signaling, no agreement has been reached yet. Zelensky in the video press release emphasized that for any meaningful peace deal to be reached, Europe must be involved in the negotiations and the peace deal must guarantee Ukraine territorial security from future Russia invasions and encroachments. In addition to the video press release posted on his verified X social media account, he also tweeted and stated thus, today, there has been a lot of international work. Our teams are working with the United States as we prepare for negotiations this Friday, the agreement with the US. The support of our country and people, peace and security guarantees are the key to ensuring that Russia can no longer destroy the lives of other nations. I will meet with the President of the United States, US. For me and for all of us in the world, it's important that US support is not stopped. Strength is needed on the path to peace. I am grateful to all the partners who continue to support us, and to all our people who believe in Ukraine. Some international news agencies had reported on Wednesday that the Ukraine and the US have reached an agreement on a framework for a broad economic deal that would include access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals, 3 senior Ukrainian officials said Tuesday, according to one of the world news networks. According to AP, the officials, who were familiar with the matter, spoke on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly. One of them said that Kyiv hopes that signing the agreement will ensure the continued flow of US military support that Ukraine urgently needs. The agreement could be signed as early as Friday and plans are being drawn up for Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to travel to Washington to meet President Donald Trump, according to one of the Ukrainian officials. Another official said the agreement would provide an opportunity for Zelensky and Trump to discuss continued military aid to Ukraine, which is why Kyiv is eager to finalize the deal. Trump, speaking to reporters in the Oval Office, said he'd heard that Zelensky was coming and added that, It's okay with me, if he'd like to, and he would like to sign it together with me. Trump called it a big deal that could be worth $1 trillion. It could be whatever, but it's rare earths and other things. We had reported that the United States President, Donald Trump, has said that if the war in Ukraine is not stopped now, it could lead or escalate to World War III, with the visiting French President, Emmanuel Macron, insisting that Federal High Court sitting in Lagos State on Wednesday remanded Jude Okoye, the ex-manager and elder brother of Peter and Paul of P Square, to Ikoyi prison over allegations of stealing billions of naira belonging to his younger twin brothers by thus creating an almost similar company name, Northside Music, to collect P Square royalties that ought to belong to the original company, Northside Entertainment. Details of the report as presented by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, reads in full below. The Lagos Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Wednesday, February 26, 2025, arraigned Jude Okoye Chigozie, older brother and ex-manager of Paul and Peter Okoye of the defunct P Square Music Group, before Justice Aooa of the Federal High Court, sitting in Ikoyi, Lagos. He was arraigned alongside his company, Northside Music Limited, on a 7-count charge bordering on money laundering to the tune of 1.38 billion nairas, $1 million and 34,537 pounds and 59 pence. One of the charges reads, that you, Jude Okoye Chigozie and Northside Music Limited, sometimes in 2022, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did directly acquire a landed property known as Number 5, Tony Eromosele Street, Parkview Estate, Ikoyi, Lagos, worth 850 million nairas, 850 million naira only, which money you knew or reasonably ought to have known forms part of proceeds of unlawful act and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 18(2)(d) and punishable under Section 18(3) of the Money Laundering, Prevention and Prohibition Act, 2022. Another charge reads, that you, Jude Okoye Chigozie and Northside Music Limited, sometimes in 2022, in Lagos, within the jurisdiction of this honorable court, did indirectly, using bureau de change, converted the sum of $1,019,762.87, $1,019,762.87, domiciled in Access Bank PLC operated by Northside Music Limited, to the naira equivalent and remitted into various bank accounts with intention of concealing that the said fund formed part of the proceeds of an unlawful act and thereby committed an offense contrary to Section 18(2)(a) and punishable under Section 18(3) of the Money Laundering, Prevention and Prohibition Act, 2022. He pleaded not guilty to the charges, following which prosecution counsel, LP ASU, applied for a trial date and for Okoye to be remanded in a correctional facility. The defense counsel, Inibehe Effiong, however, informed the court of Okoye's bail application and prayed for a short date of adjournment to enable its hearing. The defense counsel also prayed that the defendant be rather remanded in the EFCC custody pending the hearing of the bail application. Objecting to the prayer for the defendant to be remanded in EFCC's custody, the prosecution counsel argued that the commission's hold Edo State government under the leadership of Governor Monday Okpebholo has raided some popular Ashawood joints in Benin City, the state's capital, and made arrests, with one of the arrested suspects insisting she is not a commercial sex worker, that she only came out to buy or get something for herself around Ihama area at night when the task force led by the Edo State Migration Agency, EDMA, raided the area in continuation of the 34 persons arrested earlier in the month in line with the Edo State law on human trafficking and irregular migration. The suspect, who protested her innocence as seen in the video made available on Tuesday by one of the popular TV broadcasters in the state, Deborah Ivie Ogbefun, was forced into the task force vehicle, but she continued to protest her innocence, insisting she only came out to buy something. The leader of the task force, who accused her of being stubborn, ordered his men to take her away. It is not clear if she was detained or the task force set her free, as the helpless lady was seen calling her boyfriend and apparently wailing. While she was inside the vehicle, one of the task force officers asked her the whereabouts of her bag or small handbag. Commercial sex workers do hold that do contain some few clothes they used for exchange and makeups. The arrested suspect, who appeared to be provoked, raised her voice on the task force officer that she does not have, that she only came out to buy food. Earlier in February, 34 persons were arrested and paraded by the Edo State Migration Agency, EDMA, when the agency busted joints of the underage commercial sex workers who were said to be people who came into the city from other states in Nigeria. It would be recalled that in 2022, we had reported that the Edo State government, under the leadership of Governor Godwin Obaseki, has begun the mass arrest of street prostitutes, often referred to as ashawo or night workers. A campaign poster made available to the public before the mass arrest commenced in some major locations around the Benin metropolis in July 2022 indicated that the government wants the commercial sex workers chased out of the Ihama, Zapoba, GRA, Sapele Road, Obowo Road, Donson, Upper Mission Extension, and Ekewan Road in the state capital. Also early this month, as part of the Edo State government strategy to strengthen irregular migration laws and curb the menace of human trafficking, Edo State Migration Agency held a meeting with hoteliers operators in the state. Details of the meeting, as contained in the press release made available by the Public Relations Unit of the Edo State Migration Agency, reads below. The Director General, Honorable Lucky Agazuma, received hotelier operator in his office in line with the ongoing sensitization on the need to get them profiled. In his remark, the DG stated that the invitation was to enlighten them about the menace of human trafficking and irregular with the new law of the Edo State Migration Agency, so as to be guided in their operations, because some of the hoteliers might be doing what they don't know is a crime. He noted that the agency is collaborating with key stakeholders in the state and outside the state to fight the menace of human trafficking and irregular migration and redeem the beautiful name of Edo people. Furthermore, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo has blamed militants and herders over the killing of 24 persons in Medoti, Belomonti, among other 5 villages in the Ovia Southwest local government area and Okpekpe in the Esako East local government area of Edo State. Says he has deployed more troops to the affected communities, with AIT News Media showed on the spot assessment video footage of some residents fleeing the communities, just as another report indicated that a little boy was also killed on Friday at Egware Irua in the Esan Central local government area of the state. Former Special Advisor to Edo State Governor on Youth Affairs, Shidrach Odubai, said the little boy in Egware Irua was killed immediately he returned from school, and he was declared missing. His lifeless body was later found the next day, being Saturday 22nd of February, at the back of his house. Vital organs like the heart, legs and fingers were missing. It is said that the boy's parents are originally from Muweson, where the Monday Okpebholo hails from. How many I go fit talk? From Okpekpe in Esako East, to Erad in Oan East, to farm settlements in Ovia Southeast, down to Esan Central, where Monday Okpebholo hails from. Insecurity they bite Edo people, Udubai stated. Governor Okpebholo, in the press release as made available by the Chief Press Secretary to the Edo State Governor on Tuesday, Fred Itwa, stated that the Edo State Governor, Senator Monday Okpebholo, has condemned the recent attacks on 7 farming communities in Ovia Southwest local government area, which resulted in the loss of 22 lives and widespread destruction of property. The governor has also denounced the killing of 2 farmers, Betemo Philip Ebo and Christopher Bello, in Okpekpe community, Esako East local government area, by suspected herdsmen. The devastating attack on 7 farming communities in Ovia Southwest, which left 22 people dead, and several others injured, were reportedly carried out by militants. The militants also destroyed buildings and farm produce worth millions of naira. We will not tolerate any form of violence or lawlessness in Edo State, Governor Ola said. We will work tirelessly to ensure that those responsible for these heinous acts are brought to justice, and we will do everything in our power to prevent such incidents from happening again in the future. Meanwhile, Governor Ola has ordered the deployment of additional security personnel to the affected areas and the provision of support to the affected communities. We are committed to ensuring the safety and security of all Edo State residents, Governor Ola said. We will work closely with the security agencies, traditional leaders, and community members to achieve this goal. The governor has also called on the people of Edo State to remain calm and to cooperate with the security agencies as they work to address the crisis. We urge everyone to remain calm and to go about their normal business, Governor Ola said. We are doing everything possible to ensure that the situation is brought under control. Meanwhile, immediate past governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki has sent some words of sympathy to the people of Opekwe community in the Esoko East local government area of Edo State following the killing of 2 persons, Emefiele aka Ebo and Christopher Bello by suspected herdsmen on Monday, calling on the state governor, Monday Ola and other authorities responsible for the security of the state to act swiftly, just as the council chairperson in charge of the local government, Benedicta Atto raised alarm that if the state government fails to act fast, the entire North Ibe people may be wiped out by the suspected Fulani herders, with another report of the head of the vigilante group in Arab community in the Owan East local government area of the state, Victor Ogendebe, also killed in cold blood by attackers suspected to be Fulani herdsmen. Former Governor Obaseki, through his personal social media accounts on Monday, said the attack on the community was unfortunate and mindless. He said, I am deeply saddened by the unfortunate and mindless attack on Opekwe community in Esoko East local government area of Edo State by suspected herdsmen, leading to the gruesome killing of 2 innocent citizens, Philip Ebo and Christopher Bello. My heart and prayers are with the people of Opekwe community and families of the deceased at this very difficult time. Such mindless attacks are tragedies we pray never to witness in our communities. We urge all state actors responsible for security in the state to respond swiftly to put an end to this mayhem, and ensure that those responsible for this heinous act are brought to justice, Obaseki words ends in quote. The council chairperson, Honorable Benedicta Atto, in a press release issued on Monday by the council's chief press secretary, Benjamin Atto, said the victims were killed in the morning on their way to the farm. The executive chairman of Esoko East Local Government Council, Honorable Princess Benedicta Atto, has expressed concern about the ongoing killing in the Opekwe community in North Ibe zone, saying if the state government does not take immediate action to stop the killing, the entire community will be wiped out. She described today, Monday, February 24th, as a Black Monday in the Opekwe community, as Mr. Philip Betemu aka Ebo and another Mr. Christopher Bello were killed this morning by suspected Fulani herders on their way to their farms. Honorable Princess Atto, who lamented the ongoing spread of killings by marauding Fulani herdsmen and militias across the council, said Esoko East has become a killing field. We urge the governor of the state to deploy security across the community bushes and activate local vigilante, which she has consistently used to secure the council area. She frowned against the federal government's ambivalent stance amid the herdsmen's attacks, which she said is taking too many lives. It is time to tackle this high-level insecurity by deploying military in parts of the bush and farm areas to give the farmers an immediate sense of safety in their farmlands, she said, according to the press release issued by the council chief press secretary. Meanwhile, an aspirant for Owan federal constituency in the coming election in 2027, Barrister Joseph, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Monday presented before a federal high court sitting in Abuja its 9th witness, who happened to be a staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, over the allegations of money laundering and embezzlement of 4 billion naira from the coffers of Anambra State government by the immediate past governor, Willie Obiano, to which the ninth witness claimed that the 3 out of the 23 companies the EFCC alleged Obiano used to commit the fraud were not licensed by the CBN, adding that the 3 companies had since been delisted as one of the financial operators in the country. This also followed the testimonies of the third and fourth witnesses presented by the EFCC last year that alleged they were bringing physical cash in millions to the embattled former governor. Details of the report as presented by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC reads below. Alleged 4 billion naira fraud. Obiano used unlicensed companies for fraud witness. The trial of Willie Obiano, former governor of Anambra State, continued on Monday, February 24, 2025 before Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court, Abuja, with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, presenting its ninth witness. Obiano is facing prosecution by the EFCC on 9-count charges of embezzlement and money laundering to the tune of N4 billion. At Monday S proceedings, the EFCC called prosecution witness 9, PW9, Andrew Ali, a staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, and head of the license office, who revealed that 3 companies out of the 23 company accounts connected with the alleged 4 billion naira fraud were not duly licensed with the CBN to carry out bureau de change business. Ali, while being led in evidence by prosecution counsel, Sylvanus Tahir, SAN, disclosed that Connaught International Service, SY Panda Enterprise and Ziga Trading Company were not licensed to carry out BDC business, adding that Ziga has been delisted from the CBN license list before 2014. Sometimes around April 2023, we received 2 letters from the EFCC regarding some 23 financial institutions to know if they were licensed or not. I recall forwarding the 2 letters to the desk officer, who upon review, said we have received such letters in the past before, so we comprehensively replied the EFCC in a letter dated May 21, 2023, and as seen in the letter of our response, out of 23 companies, 3 of them were not registered, he said. The 8-page letter from the EFCC and the response were admitted in evidence and marked as Exhibit A1A8. While being cross-examined by defense counsel, Onyechi Ikpeazu, SAN, Ali recalled that Ziga Trading Company did not meet the licensing requirements before 2014. Once you do not meet the requirements, you are delisted. It is in public knowledge that we only supervise the people that are licensed. Once you are not on our list, we lose the power to supervise you. We run public notice to sensitize the public not to operate. One of the numbers of courts used by the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to challenge the operational activities and exercise of authorities by the former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, has fixed February 26, 2025 to rule on recusal application filed by the embattled ex-CBN governor after the Special Offences Court judge was accused of being biased and unfair in his handling of the case before the court sitting in Lagos State. This is coming after another court-ordered final forfeiture of billions of naira worth of properties allegedly linked to the most troubled, investigated, humiliated and detained ex-governor of CBN in Nigeria history. Details of the report as contained in numbers of news releases made available by the Public Relations Unit of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, reads verbatim below. Court to rule on Emefiele's application alleging bias, February 26. Justice R.A. Oshodi of a Special Offences Court sitting in Ikeja, Lagos, has adjourned till February 26, 2025 to deliver ruling on an application by a former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, asking the trial judge to recuse himself alleging bias. Emefiele is standing trial on a 19-count charge bordering on receiving gratification and corrupt demand preferred against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. His co-defendant, Henry Omoy, is facing a 3-count charge bordering on unlawful acceptance of gifts by agents. They have pleaded not guilty to the charges. At Monday's proceedings, February 24, 2025, The prosecution led by Rotimi Oyedepo, San, concluded the examination-in-chief of the 7th prosecution witness, PW7, Adetola John, but rather than proceed with the cross-examination, counsel for Emefiele, Olalekan San, and Omo's counsel, Kazim Badamosi, San asked the court to recuse itself on the allegation of bias. The defense refused to cross-examine the witness and through an oral application, unanimously asked the court to recuse itself alleging bias. Oyedepo, however, vehemently opposed the application. He said, "In this proceeding, your lordship had numerous times ruled against the prosecution, and if defense is dissatisfied with the ruling of the court, they can appeal. I do not know what defense is trying to prove by telling this court to recuse itself, because in this case, there is no evidence of allegation of bias. This is a form of delay tactics, and I urge your lordship to discountenance this application, because a reasonable person in this court will realize that this application is meant to delay this trial." The court had earlier granted accelerated hearing in this case, and I urge this honorable court to ask defense to cross-examine the witness. Thereafter, Justice Oshodi adjourned to rule on the application. Court orders final forfeiture of 830 million nairas, $4.7 million, properties linked to Emefiele. Justice Yelin Bogoro of United States President Donald Trump has said that if the war in Ukraine is not stopped now, it could lead or escalate to World War III, with the visiting French President Emmanuel Macron insisting that Russia is the aggressor of the war, hence Russia must pay damages as part of the negotiations for the peace deal. But the US, in another meeting at the United Nations General Assembly on Monday, joined Russia to vote against a resolution condemning Russia over the war in Ukraine. Trump and Macron answered questions from the White House reporters after the French president attended the G7 meeting in Washington on Monday. President Emmanuel Macron during the press talks corrected the US President Donald Trump after Trump said Europe would get its money back from Ukraine. The two presidents spoke to the reporters during a meeting at the Oval Office in the White House in Washington, D.C., when Trump said Europe was loaning its aid money to Ukraine and they would get the money back. Macron interjected and said, "No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was loans, guarantees, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear." Adding that Europe has billions of Russia-frozen assets which member countries in the continent intend to use to get their money back during peace negotiations with Russia. Macron added that, in respect to international law, European countries in possession of the Russia-frozen assets can only use proceeds of the frozen assets while the war is still ongoing, but they cannot take over or take possession of the assets until a peace deal is entered with Russia. It would be recalled that Trump and his team have been negotiating a minerals revenue sharing agreement with Ukraine to recoup some of the money that the previous Biden administration had sent to Kyiv in the form of weapons to repel Russia. Emmanuel Macron and Donald Trump have sought to smooth a transatlantic rift on Ukraine, as the US president said Vladimir Putin was willing to accept the presence of European peacekeepers to end the war. Trump said Vladimir Putin has no objections to European peacekeepers post-peace deal, but warned the war could escalate into World War III if not resolved. Trump also stated that he is helping Ukraine like no one has before. Donald Trump said the Ukraine war could end within weeks, as he met with French President Emmanuel Macron at the White House to discuss the conflict. Meanwhile, US joined Russia to vote against a resolution condemning Russia as the aggressor in the war in Ukraine, but larger numbers of members of the United Nations on Monday voted in favor of the resolution supporting Ukraine's territorial integrity in the face of staunch opposition from Washington, which pushed its own language that declined to blame Russia for the war or mention Kyiv's borders. The European-backed resolution marking the conflict's third anniversary won 93 votes for and 18 votes against, with 65 abstentions. Washington sided with Moscow, as well as Russian allies Belarus, North Korea and Sudan, to vote against. Close observers said that the resolution won far less support compared to previous resolutions on the war. Incoming Chancellor of Germany, Friedrich Merz, on Monday says the Israel Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, can visit Germany despite the arrest warrant issued on the Israeli leader by the International Criminal Court, ICC, over Israel war with Palestinian fighters, Hamas in Gaza. Just as Merz also said that his government will do all he could to build good ties with President Donald Trump-led U.S. government, but he's ready for the worst if the U.S. decided to act otherwise. Friedrich Merz, who spoke in his native language during a press conference in Berlin, Germany, on Monday, said he would make sure Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu could visit Germany despite the ICC arrest order. The press conference, held a day after his Conservative Christian Democratic Union (CDU) party won national elections, saw Merz saying he had told Netanyahu in a congratulatory phone call that the pair should meet after a new German government is formed. Friedrich Merz, in his words, as interpreted and reported by Al Jazeera, said, in the event that he, Netanyahu, plans to visit Germany, I have promised myself that we will find a way to ensure that he can visit Germany and leave again without being arrested. I think it's a really absurd idea that an Israeli prime minister can't visit the Federal Republic of Germany. He will be able to visit Germany, Merz said. Netanyahu's office has said Merz had invited the Israeli prime minister to make an official visit to Germany, in overt defiance of the scandalous International Criminal Court decision to label the Prime Minister a war criminal. In a statement on Monday made available by the Office of the Israel Prime Minister, indicated that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had a warm conversation with Friedrich Merz, who, following his victory in the German elections, has become Chancellor-designate, and congratulated him on his victory. Chancellor-designate Merz thanked the Prime Minister for the conversation and said that he would invite him to make an official visit to Germany, in overt defiance of the scandalous International Criminal Court decision to label the Prime Minister a war criminal. It would be recalled that, in November 2024, the Hague-based ICC issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and his former defense minister Yoav Gallant, as well as Hamas commander Mohammed Deif, on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. Both Israel and Hamas say Deif was killed in July in an Israeli airstrike, and Deif has not been seen in public ever since. AFP International News Agency also reported that the German Conservative election winner Friedrich Merz said Monday that he would seek good ties with the United States under President Donald Trump, but was also ready for the worst-case scenario. I hope that we can convince the Americans that it is in our mutual interest to maintain good transatlantic relations, Merz said at a press conference, a day after his CDU-CSU alliance came first in national elections. But as always, you have to deal with the worst-case scenario, he said, warning that all the signals we are receiving from the United States indicate that interest in Europe is decreasing. Merz also said he had a Friedrich Merz, the newly elected incoming Germany Chancellor, has said that his aim is to achieve Europe independence from the United States, saying, the current U.S. President, Donald Trump, cares less about the security of European countries and promised to work with the prime ministers and leaders of other European countries to set up alternative Europe Defense Alliance Treaty Organization by June 2025, when the meeting of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, will be held, adding, Ukraine will be put in a position of strength. Friedrich Merz stated this at a televised roundtable discussion with political leaders on Sunday after his party, Christian Democratic Union, CDU, and Christian Social Union, CSU, won 208 seats to score 28.6% of the vote in the Sunday federal elections in Germany. The Alternative for Germany, AfD political party, came second in the election with 152 seats, winning 20.8% of the vote. AfD shared opposing views with other political parties in Germany, and the views are apparently in line with the style of administration President Donald Trump is currently administering in the United States. AFD was supported by US tech billionaire Elon Musk during the electioneering campaign. Mobs of left-wing protesters took to the streets on Sunday to make a scene in Germany following the AFD's significant achievement of capturing 20.8% of the vote. Prior to the election date, an estimated 250 people took to the streets in Amsterdam to protest against the AFD political leader, Alice Weidel, a place where the politician has lived in the district of Amsterdam with her partner and 2 children since 2018. It would be recalled that in early 2024, there were widespread protests against the far-right Alternative for Germany, AFD party in Germany, following a report by a group of investigative journalists that reported AFD proposals to organize mass deportations of foreign-born Germans, including those with German citizenship. The protesters said they were out on the streets to defend the German democracy from the AFD, with many protesters calling for the party to be investigated by the Federal Office for the Protection of the Constitution, or banned altogether. Similarly, a second wave of protests erupted in early 2025, shortly before the federal election held on Sunday the 23rd of February 2025, and the citizens of the European country continued the third wave of the protest after AFD, backed by US government official Elon Musk, secured 152 seats, which stand out to be the best election result the AFD party has ever secured in a national poll. This, local observers in Germany say Friedrich Merz and his political party will likely face complex negotiations with their rival political party to form a coalition government. President Donald Trump, while reacting to the German elections via his Truth social media handle, said, "Looks like the Conservative Party in Germany has won the very big and highly anticipated election. Much like the USA, the people of Germany got tired of the no common sense agenda."
Ola Olukoyede, bringing you the news in a more digital way.